Good morning everyone, lovely to have you with me. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's Carol here at Oak House Journals. Well, I'm absolutely thrilled to be sharing a flip through of my garden themed journal with you this morning. She's done and dusted, she's all finished. She's taken a good wee while to complete, but she is finally done and she's in here. If you've just happened upon this video and have no idea what I'm talking about or what my garden themed journal is all about, let me quickly mention that there is a video sharing how I've created each and every one of the embroidered pages inside this fabric journal, and also ones showing how I've made the cover and embroidered that too. All those videos are under a playlist. This journal is entirely made out of fabric. The embroidered pieces that are attached to the signature pages, the signature block itself, and also the cover are all French vintage linen. The actual size of the journal, as you can see, is not very big. Size-wise, she's 8 inches in height by just over 5¼ really wide, and 1.5 inches for the spine. So in metric, that is 21 in height by 14 centimeters wide by about 4 centimeters for the spine. For those of you that have watched all my videos and my progress creating this journal, then I hope you are as excited as I am this morning to take a look at her now that she is finally finished. Let me show you this little bag that I created, or pouch that I've created to house her in, and it just flips open like that. Nothing special, just very, very simple. And there's my journal. So before we go any further, grab yourself a beverage of your choice, just sit back and enjoy. So that's the front cover of the journal, and if I open her up, this is the first page. So I've got this embroidery on here saying Journal of Stitchery. December 2021 was when I started her, and I finished her in December 2023. I've got a broderie anglais pocket here, and I've just used a vintage handkerchief to make an envelope, and I've written myself a little note to go inside that envelope, and that says, "The idea for my garden themed Journal of Stitchery came to mind while stitching one of the prompts for the first Journal of Stitchery project in December 2021 by Rachel and Sarah Roxburgh. It took almost 2 years to the month to complete, perhaps not quite as long as that, as in the last year it was stitched in tandem with pieces for another fabric journal. 2 pages were inspired by Lorna Bateman and her beautiful book, Embroidered Country Gardens. The rest were images I spotted or from my mind's eye. Jennifer Coulston's planner provided the inspiration for the piece of embroidery on the front cover. In all, it has been a wee labour of love, and I have enjoyed every stitch and every minute." And that just folds over. This was too beautiful to chop this off. I've just let it hang over, and I just wrap it round before I tuck it into the pocket. So as I say, this is my title page. I did my embroidery, stitched it on, and then put a little bit of lace, it's a little bit loose up there, a little bit of lace all the way around. if I flip over the page, as you can see, they're nice and fat and padded. This was one of the Lorna Bateman inspired pages, or 2 pages. This is her arch out of her beautiful book. There's a lot of stitching here, from back stitch to chain stitch, lazy daisy stitch, there's some fly stitch down here, millions of French knots clustered together here and for my hydrangeas, and my favourite stitch really of the month, which is split back stitch. I've used Derwent watercolour pencils to shade the path, and for my sky up here I've used just watercolour paints, and I've got a few little birds dotted around. And then this page was partially one of Lorna Bateman's. She hasn't got one with a fence and a bird table. Hers is just a bird table, but I did copy her design, and I've tried to mimic here the flowers that I did on this page. I did this page probably something like 6 months before I went in to do this one, but I'm pretty happy how it came out. As you can see, I've got scalloped edges round everything apart from this front page, and that's because I use vintage handkerchiefs. So here and here there are joins, because obviously the handkerchiefs weren't this size, so I had to crop them and make sure they would fit. And as you can see, I've got lace going down the centre, because this is where I stitched my accordion fold signature block into my journal. So this is going over to the next page. And again, these were stitched about 6 months apart. There was no rhyme or reason to how this journal came together. I just stitched what I fancied stitching at the time. And I love this idea of doing a little scrappy window with a window box. And then I decided to add a bike, a vintage bike with a basket. And then for this one, obviously I had to try and tie it in. So I went with the hollyhocks on either side. I loved doing that, or those tubs of hydrangeas on this one, that I decided to have another go and do one on this page. And I've got a little trug at the bottom, and same array of stitches, other than I've used some loose French knots down here for the grass, and also some turkey stitch. And then this is the next page. Love how my brickwork came out. I didn't want the whole of my background to be brickwork, but I do like how just adding a few areas ties it in together. And again, these were not stitched at the same time. This one was stitched first, and then I went in to stitch this one. My main difficulty really was trying to match up the threads, because obviously I didn't keep a record of what threads I actually used. So in some cases it did take a wee while to try and match up my threads. And with this one, I decided I wanted some feature off to one side, and to tie it in with this page, I then went back in on this finished page just to add some more branches across the top, so it looks like they flow across. Same vegetation chosen on both pages. And now these pages, I absolutely love these pages. A lot of work, but I loved it. Again, I did this one first, and then for ages I wasn't sure what I wanted to do to tie in with this page. And in the end I decided that what I wanted was a continuation of the garden with some hills in the distance. And to me, every English country garden will have a greenhouse tucked away somewhere, so I've got one here in the corner. I loved how this tree came out with all its cherry blossom, and I mimicked that with roses over the door. English country gardens always have lavender somewhere, so I tried to create some lavender down here with bullion knots. And as you can see, I've got vegetation over the wall, yellow on this one, and then white and a little bit of pink up here on that one. Oxeye daisies on both sides to match, hollyhocks on both sides to match, and then these are supposed to be still bees, and I've got a couple in there. So yeah, really pleased how this one turned out, and I love doing straight stitch and trying to feather those in up here to do the thatch roof. I didn't quite get my chimney straight, it's a little bit wonky, but I was hoping that that would add to the character of the place. And again, I've used Derwent colour pencils for my path and for the shading under the wall. Similarly on this side here, and then here and the background and the sky, same on here, were the watercolour paints. And then this page, again, two favourites of mine, slightly different from the others, not in the fact that they're still with handkerchiefs as the background, but because I've put lace at the top and lace at the bottom, and I wish I'd done this on more of the pages. I like how this hides the join, because I've got a join on this one here and a join down here, where I've made the handkerchiefs fit the page, whereas on these two that join is hidden. And I've also put in a little bit of vintage netting here behind my flowers and follow that through on here. I really enjoyed doing split back stitch for these bistro chairs and table, so I decided to do another one here. And this door is all done with split back stitch, and then with a couple of bullion knots for the hinges and a French knot for the handle of the door, and then wisteria growing over to match the wisteria that I've done here. These white flowers here and here, here and here are just lace, and I decorated those up a little bit by putting a tiny little French knot inside each one. And again, just gone over the vegetation on that white lace with some heavy stitching to cover it up, and I've taken it up here as well and round here. And then finally, this is my last page, and I wanted this page to mimic as much as I could the front page. I just embroidered on a piece of the French linen, and then same as I did on the front, just put some lace round it. And this says, in case you can't read it, it's not the clearest, this journal was stitched simply for the joy of putting a pretty thread to vintage fabric, CP. And again, I've got a little pocket at the back there. The cover is all covered with Swiss dot French tulle, and I wanted just to add a loose little piece behind this piece of embroidery just to tie in those two pages, and perhaps at some stage I'll find something to put in the back pocket. So there we go, everybody, that's my journal finished. Hope you enjoyed seeing it come together. I certainly, as I've said, enjoyed every single stitch. It was absolutely a joy to stitch, and I've had so many hours stitching this little journal over the last 2 years. As I said, though, it probably did take me less than 2 years because I was stitching it in tandem with another fabric journal that I've been working on quietly in the background. And if you're interested in that, it's still a work in progress, but I will do a video showing you the progress and the embroideries I've done so far, and then do some more videos showing the actual finishing off of that project, probably over the next 3 months or so, because I think it will take me that long to finish off my embroideries. So there we go, everybody. Thank you to each and every one of you that have watched me create this journal and have given me your encouragement and sent me those lovely comments each and every time I posted a video. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I can't tell you what it has meant to me. I've been really touched and flattered by each and every one. So until the next video, everybody, take care. Happy holidays. Bye-bye now.